Hey guys, I'm now doing part 2 of expanding and factoring, and I'm going to show you guys how to factor. Okay, factors are just numbers that are multiplied together to create a product. That's a lot of vocab, but let me explain. If I have the number 6, two of its factors are 3 and 2, because 3 and 2 can be multiplied to make 6. So when we're asking you to factor something, we're going to give you an expression and we're going to turn it into something that looks like this. So we're going backwards from expanding. Let's just look at some examples because I think that helps. So let's take a look at 2x plus 10. And now if we're asked to factor this expression, what we're going to do, you'll notice, like unlike last time, there's no parentheses. This time we're going to pull out something from each of these pieces, and that is going to create our factor. So this is how I do it. First, we take a look at each number by itself. So let's look at 2 and 2x. We're just going to focus on the coefficients because there's only one x in this expression. So the only thing that can be multiplied together to make 2 is 2 and 1. So 2's factors are 2 and 1. Those are the only numbers that can make 2. Now, for 10 has some more than that. You'll see I'm just using this arrow system to write down the things that can be multiplied to make these numbers. So 10. What numbers can I multiply together to make 10? Now, when I'm doing this, I'm going to avoid anything times 1 unless it's my only option. So anything that can make 10. Well, I know off the top of my head, 5 times 2 makes 10. So that means 2 and 5 are factors of 10. Now in this example, I can't multiply anything except for 1 and these numbers by themselves for 5 and 2. So what I mean by that is the only thing that I can multiply together to make 5 is 5 and 1. The only thing I can multiply to make 2 is 2 and 1. So I'm going to stop factoring there because I already know that 5 and 1 are going to be, and 2 and 1 are factors in 10. That's a lot of language to say. I'm going to stop when I can't pull it apart anymore. Now, what's the biggest number that both 2 and 10 have for a factor? I see it. It's 2. 2 is a factor of both of these numbers. So I'm going to kind of erase this work. Stay with me if you're feeling stuck. I'm going to do another example. 2 is the biggest number that I can pull out of each of these. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull a 2 out of both. And to do that, I'm just going to divide each one by 2. I'm going to pull a 2 out of this expression. Here's the 2, I'm pulling it out. Now, let's do division. 2 divided by 2 just leaves me with 1x. Positive 10 divided by 2 just leaves me with 5. All I did right there was just division, and you can use a calculator if you want. I did 10 divided by 2 to get 5, and 2 divided by 2 to get 1x. Now, I've pulled a 2 out of my expression, so now I have to show that by writing it in this form. I have pulled my 2 out of my expression. Here it is. And here's what's left over when I've pulled the 2 out. So now I have 2 times x plus 5. This is the same thing as this. I've just gone backwards from expanding to factoring. I pulled the 2 out and placed it outside the parentheses. And now the bare bones are inside the parentheses. Let's look at another together. We can do this. All right, I'm going to factor this. So I have to see what numbers do I multiply to make these. If you're not sure, pull out a calculator or a multiplication chart. Here's my multiplication chart I'm going to use. All right, here we go. All right, 12. Oops. What can I multiply to make 12? Now, you might remember I said to skip 1. So I'm going to go to my 2 row here and see what makes 12. You might already know, but let's just practice. All right, here's 12. 6 times 2 makes 12. So now I know 6 and 2 are factors of 12. 6 and 2 are factors of 12. Can I break these apart anymore? I remember 2 I can't. It's just 2 and 1, so I'm going to leave 2. 2's done. 2's done. 2 is a factor. So is 6. But look, I know I can break 6 down. If I go to here we go. 3 times 2 makes 6. Great. So now I've got another factor. Now I can't break down 3 anymore. You might notice if I look in my 2 column, I can't get 3. The only thing that makes 3 is 3 and 1. So I'm done. So the factors of 12 are 6, 2, and 3. Great. Now let's get 30. You might already remember what makes 30. Lots of things. But if you're not sure, go ahead and look in your multiplication chart. No 30 here, no 30 here. Oh, 3 times 10. Let's do it. 3 times 10. Oh, look, I'm already noticing I have a common factor. I just have to be sure that's the biggest one. All right, I can't break down 3 anymore, but I can break down 10. What makes 10? 5 and 2. 5 times 2 makes 10. So you'll notice, ooh, my drawing's a little crazy, that I have 2 common factors for these. Both 30 and 12 can be divided by 3 and 2. I'm going to choose the biggest one. Always choose the biggest one. So that means I'm going to pull a 3 out of both of these. And to do that, I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide 12 and 30 by 3. Now, I'm going to just erase my area here so that I can, oops, sorry, I got rid of everything. I'm going to I erased that just so that I can do my division. So I pulled a 3 out, so to do that, I got to do my division. 12 divided by 3 makes 4. Boop. I'm going to start putting that in my new factored expression. 30 divided by 3 is 10. And if you don't know, pull up your calculator and just use a calculator, please. And it's positive, so I'm going to go ahead and just do plus 10. And don't forget about that b still exists. This b doesn't go away. He sticks to this coefficient. All right, there's my factored expression, 3 times 4 plus 10b. Let's do one more together, guys. You're doing great staying with me. Here's our last one. 120 minus 21x. Don't be freaked out because we have lots of tools to support us. All right, 120. Whenever something ends in a 0, I know I can multiply it by 10. That's a good trick to know if you don't. Anything ends in 0, it can be divided by 10, excuse me. So if you're not sure, you can use your multiplication table or you can just use a calculator. But I'm going to go ahead and use the multiplication table. 120 I know can be divided by 10, so I'm going to look for it here. Awesome, right there. Here's my 120. So 12 times 10 makes 120. Cool. 12 and 10 are pretty big factors. Now I can break these down further, so I'm going to do that. 12, what numbers can be multiplied to make 12? 3, and 4. And if you're not sure, just search your multiplication chart. I could have also used 2 and 6, but watch, you'll notice something cool. I can break down 4 into 2 and 2. Boop. Excuse me. Now, let's do 10. 10 can be broken down into 5 times 2. All right, so I have a lot of factors for this. And you may have heard me say earlier that I can divide 12 by 6 and 2. That's totally correct, and you're going to want to take that into account. But off the top of my head, I know that 6 is not going to be a factor for 21, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. All right, here we go. So I have lots of factors for 120. Let me choose another color, 21. Let's look at our multiplication chart, find 21. Here it is, 7 times 3. Uh-oh, I can't break down 7 or 3 any further. So what's my biggest factor that I can divide both 21 and 124 by? It's 3. Now, just going back to what I said earlier about the 6. If you end up in a place where you have numbers that can be divided further after you've divided by your greatest common factor, you can do that. But that's for a little bit more of an advanced situation. All right, let's pull out a 3 from both of these numbers. Now, to pull out the 3, remember that we just have to divide. Here's my 3, here's my parentheses, and one important thing that I'm not going to forget, excuse me, that's an eraser, is that I have a minus sign. The minus sign will not go away. All right, let's do some dividing. All right, let's divide 120 divided by 3. And just for time's sake, I'm going to pull my calculator up and just type it in. 120 divided by 3 equals 40. There we go. Look, I'm going to bring my minus sign in because now I'm going to do 21 divided by 3. Here's my calculator. Sorry that this is a little bit messy for one of my videos today, guys. All right, 21 divided by 3 is 7. And what am I missing? Don't forget about that x. It doesn't disappear. Phew, there's my factored version of my original expression. All right, guys, thanks for bearing with me. I hope this was helpful and not too confusing. I know that it was a little bit messier than usual, but good luck with expanding and factoring. If you have further questions, please reach out. Thanks.